Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video we're going to be going over the top 15 best 90s rear wheel drive cars. I love 90s cars. I love rear wheel drive cars. I like top 10 list videos. It works out great. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Top 15 best 90s rear wheel drive cars in the old Mark Roden cranium's opinion. Hope you guys are excited. Media of the day is Jake Schnatter. He's a new... I feel like this guy just came onto the scene like last year, but he's been doing all kinds of different car builds and stuff like that on his channel, and it's really entertaining. I like the guy a lot. I like watching him. He's pretty cool. Makes cool cars too. He has good taste. I like his taste. Actually, I really like his taste. He's one of like the, in my opinion, like, dude, again, I doubt he's gonna watch it, but Adam LZ, if you watch this video, no hate or anything, but I don't really care for his like style. I'm not like into Adam LZ's taste, but when it comes to like this guy's, you got good taste. You got good taste. I like watching his videos. I like him a lot. So go check him out if you haven't already. But without further ado, let's go right into it with the top 15 best rear-wheel drive 90s cars. And coming in at the number 15 spot is going to be going to the Nissan 300ZX Z32. Before somebody, I know, listen, it's 15th place, okay? It's not first place or whatever, but I do think it's one of the best 90s rear-wheel drive cars. And before somebody's like, oh my god, a 300ZX in the top 15 best 90s rear-wheel drive cars, that's crazy. Lamborghini used the headlights, but like, hey, I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's better than Lamborghini. Spoiler alert for the rest of the video, but if Lamborghini is even also admitting that the 300ZX looks incredible, then it probably looks incredible. The Z32 is just like one of the best looking cars ever, just period, especially in the 90s. Yeah, its horsepower numbers were a little bit lackluster, and yeah, its motor isn't the best out there or whatever, but for its time, this car, in my opinion, is absolutely legendary. So such a cool car, specifically the twin turbo models, obviously. Coming in at the number 14 spot, I say this every single time I talk about this car, but this is the Jaguar XJ220. And the thing that I was going to say is these cars in person are like the length of a bus. They are like the longest car you will ever see in your life in person. I saw one in person when I was delivering parts one time. I went to this shop and they were working on an XJ220 at the shop, and I saw one in person. It was such a long car. Beautiful car, by the way, but long car. It's just such an icon. Like, the XJ220 is freaking iconic. In my opinion, it's easily the best Jaguar of all time. It's such a legendary car. It's so cool. It looks like a catfish, but a cool catfish. Like, you know how like the 4th gen Camaros are commonly regarded as a catfish Camaro? Well, those are like a bad catfish. They don't look that great. The XJ220 looks like a sick, freaking sleek, low to the ground, low slung sports car. It's awesome. Y'all already, hey, if you've ever watched a Mark Roden video, y'all already knew this car was coming. 13th place is a Mazda RX-7 FD3S. Oh, man. Oh, my God. This is, as you guys know, Mark Roden's affordable dream car, the car I want to own one day, that I actually can see myself owning one day because it's relatively affordable. I love the RX-7, but even I can admit that it's not like the overall best 90s rear-wheel drive car. There are definitely some that are better than it, obviously, but man, is it a freaking beast. I love the RX-7 so much. It's unfortunate that it's such high maintenance and in turn also a little bit unreliable if you don't maintain it, because it's such a good car. Every other regard, it's perfect except for the reliability / maintenance. The RX-7 is just, oh man, I want one so bad. Coming in at 12th place, however, this car got like some hate from like the supercar community when it first came out. I don't understand that at all. The Ferrari F50. The Ferrari F50 came after obviously the F40, and as we all know, the F40 is one of like the most popular cars of all time, period. Like, if you looked up like a typical car guy's like top 10 best road cars list of all time, most of them are going to put the Ferrari F40 in their top 10. And so the F50 came out after that car, and people were just like, didn't like it. They said it was like worse than the F40, even though in my opinion it's just better in every way. Besides looks, I will say I like the looks of the F40 better than I like the looks of the F50, but the F50 is just a better car in terms of performance, in terms of comforts, in terms of everything else. It's just overall better than the F40, and I know that's crazy to say, but it's the truth, and I think it easily deserves a spot on the top 15 best rear-wheel drive 90s cars. It's a freaking iconic car, and I'm sick and tired of the hate for it. It doesn't deserve it. Coming in at the number 11 spot, here it is. I told y'all earlier, I kind of spoiled this one a little bit already. But 11th place is a Lamborghini Diablo SV. Oh my god, dude, okay, you guys know me, man, not the biggest supercar fan, never really cared too much about them, but there's just something about Lambos, man. I don't know what it is. I love them. The Murcielago is like a perfect car in my opinion, and the Diablo SV with the freaking SV liveries on the side of them. Oh my god, it's such a cool looking car. And like I said earlier, they used the headlights out of the Z32 300ZX on the Diablo, which is a fun fact. But yeah, it's such a cool car. I heard it's a little bit of a nightmare to drive, which is the reason why it's not going to be any higher. Apparently people said the Diablo, even though it's better, more comfortable to drive than like the Countach, It is still a little bit annoying to drive and not very comfortable, but that, you know, makes sense. It's a 90s supercar. You're not expecting to have like S-Class Mercedes level of luxury. You're really looking for insane performance, and the Diablo SV 100% provides on that aspect. It's such a cool car. I love the Diablo. I think it's underrated, honestly. Coming in at 10th place, however, breaking its way into the top 10, might make people a little bit angry because I'm putting a Nissan higher than the Ferrari and Lamborghini of the 90s, but the Nissan Silvia S15, the S15 Silvia, dude, is it's just like everything that people love about JDM sports cars crammed into one package. This is one of the ones that are definitely built later on in the 90s, but it is still technically a 90s car, but they also were built in the 2000s. But the S15 Silvia, dude, it is just perfect. An incredible, high revving, small, lightweight, good tuning motor. Perfect. A very lightweight chassis to have a ton of fun no matter what it is you're trying to put it on. Perfect. Perfect wheelbase. Perfect. Great weight distribution. Perfect. Incredible looks. Perfect. A decent interior that's not super comfortable, sure, but it isn't uncomfortable either. Perfect. And an insane aftermarket support for it. The S15 Silvia is just iconic, and it easily deserves a spot on the top 15. But coming in at 9th place, however, is honestly like the S15 Silvia in my opinion, but just a little bit better. The BMW M3 E36. Yeah, I think the E36 M3 is just, I mean, it's not even the M3 version of the E36 that's so great. It's just a chassis of the E36. Like even a 328i, 325i, 323i E36 is a good car just because the freaking E36 chassis is just so good. It's like the perfect car you could possibly ask for if you're a car guy that's trying to like build up a little bit of a project. The M3 is obviously the fastest of the bunch because it's the M3. It's a sports car version, so obviously that's the one I decided to go with today. But if you can't afford one, that's fine, because you could find a freaking 328i or a 325i for like $6,000, and then at that point you still have the same chassis, just not as good of a motor. It's such a good car. I love the M3 E36, as you guys know. It's iconic. It deserves a spot. Coming in at 8th place, however, it's a car that I would never drive in a million years because I wouldn't trust myself behind the wheel of it. The Lotus Elise GT1. I remember hearing stories about like the race car drivers, the GT1 drivers of the late 90s, saying that the Lotus Elise was like the hardest one to control, and it was like really like oversteery. And so I would never trust myself behind the wheel of one of these, but they are an iconic GT1 car. And you know how everybody always brings up like the whole what's it called, Holy Trinity there with the Ferrari LaFerrari, McLaren P1, and the Porsche 918 Spider. In my opinion, the 90s Holy Trinity was the Lotus Elise GT1, the Porsche 911 GT1 Strassen version, or whatever that thing's called, and the McLaren F1. And this is one of them. I think it's the worst of the three, spoiler alert for the rest of the video, but it is still an absolutely insanely good rear-wheel drive 90s car that deserves way more praise than it gets. This thing is insane. Coming in at 7th place, though, y'all already know my thoughts on these cars. The Chevy Corvette Z06 C5. I'm an American. Obviously, y'all already know I'm an American. But even if I wasn't an American, I feel like you have to admit that the C5 Vet is just an unbelievably good car. It's in my opinion the best Corvette ever created. It's the first Corvette with an LS under the hood too, which is just iconic. I mean, don't get me wrong, the small block V8s that the C4 had is still a great motor, but dude, the LS, I'd rather have an LS. Like, it may be a hot take, but I would rather have an LS. It's just such a sick car, and there's no denying the fact that these cars were dominant in motorsports too. I mean, if you look up the C5R motorsports history, it won all the time. Like the C5R Corvette race car was insanely good, and no one cares. Like, this thing is a beast of a car. It's so cool. Here's another one of the in my opinion, the first Holy Trinity, because 6th place is the Porsche 911 GT1 Strassen version. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that Strassen version correctly. It has this weird, like, it looks like the letter B, but it's technically 2 S's in its name. I don't know. It's a Porsche 911 converted into a GT1 race car, converted into a street legal road car, which is, I know, a lot, but obviously in terms of like daily driving, this car would be the biggest nightmare on the entire list to drive, but that's not what it's built for. It's built to just go freaking fast, and it did it. Of the 4, I guess you could say, big boy GT1 cars, this one is definitely one of the weaker ones. I don't think people talk about it as much as the other 2 that we still have yet to go, but it is still an absolute banger, absolute perfection. I love it. I love it so much. Porsche, oh my god, Porsche needs to make another GT1 car. 5th place, though, y'all already know, the JDM boy in me was going to come out, because 5th place is going to be going to the Honda NSX. Yeah, man, the NSX was just freaking awesome. Was it, honestly, a lot of people think of it as like this car where it was like it came out and it just immediately dominated the competition, like everybody wanted it, it was legendary immediately after coming out, but that actually wasn't the case. Back when the NSX first came out, it actually wasn't that competitive against like other supercars, but it was just the idea that it even could be competitive against supercars made by Honda and it was half the price of them. In some cases, 1/3 of the price, 1/4 of the price of the supercars it was trying to compete against. That makes it so legendary. Like, that is just awesome. It's reliable, it's rear-wheel drive, it looks incredible. It literally looks like a Ferrari, but it's made by Honda, and it's a Honda price with Honda reliability. It's a legendary car. It deserves this list. Coming in at 4th place, however, is if you put a gun to my head and maybe choose one car on this entire list, this is probably the one I would choose to own. 4th place is the Mercedes CLK GTR. The CLK GTR is ungodly beautiful. Like, it is such a gorgeous looking car. I couldn't even describe it. It's another one of the GT1 contenders. Technically, it's the CLK LM, though that's the GT1 version. But either way, it was going up against the F1 LM, the GT1 Strassen version, and the Lotus Elise GT1 as well. And it's one of the more legendary ones. It's one of the more successful ones. And it deserves all the praise it gets, dude. The CLK GTR is, oh my god, I have never even seen one of these in real life. I would kill a man to see a CLK GTR in real life. Obviously not really, but I would slap him. I'd slap him around a little bit in order to see it. That is a beautiful freaking car. I want to see one so bad. They're such good cars. Coming in at 3rd place, this might be a hot take, putting it all the way here at 3rd place, giving it the bronze medal, the 3rd best 90s rear-wheel drive car. But I don't care, man. I went with the Dodge Viper ACR SRII, which is technically still the 1st generation of the Viper, but it's a facelift that like drastically changed the entire car pretty much. So they gave it a whole new chassis code, which was SRII. The first one, the one that's like the Widowmaker, the one that everybody knows is like the 1st gen Viper, you know, the really ugly one, let's just put it out there, is the SRI. This one fixed most of the problems that the 1st gen had, making it a little bit more safe, which I guess some people could say took away from the charm of the Viper, but it also just made it a overall better car in every single way, and it is beautiful. It's a V10 powered Dodge. It was incredibly competitive in motorsports. I want one of these cars so bad, and you can buy one for like 80 grand, which, don't get me wrong, that's still expensive, but not as expensive as you would think it would be. These cars are way cheaper than I thought they would be. All right, y'all are gonna get mad at me. Y'all are gonna say, oh my god, he's a Supra kid. 2nd place, the 2nd best 90s rear-wheel drive car of all time, is the Toyota Supra Mk4. I mean, it just is. If you sit there and act like it's not, I feel like you're just wrong. Is the chassis like one of the best chassis in this list? Absolutely not. Like, it's just not. The Mk4 Supra is a very heavy car, very long wheelbase. It's not like that great of a chassis. It's literally all in the motor that made the Mk4 Supra so incredible. The transmission isn't horrible either. People do like to swap a CD009 in there, but it isn't the worst transmission ever created. It's the 2JZ GTE that really brings this car to the top. Its styling was obviously also really good. A lot of people enjoyed the styling of the Mk4 Supras, myself included. It's just legendary. You know what I mean? It's not even one of my favorite cars. I would rather own an FD RX-7. I'd rather own an S15 Silvia. I'd rather own an NSX. This is one of my least favorite of like the 90s JDM legends, as a matter of fact. But it is still legendary. You still have to include it in the top of the list on a 15 best rear-wheel drive 90s cars. Honorable mention, because I wrote this one out and then realized I had 16 entries and didn't want to delete it. The Porsche 911 993. Yeah, we already have a Porsche 911 on this list, the 911 GT1 Strassen version, so I decided I'll just put this one as the honorable mention. This is a really cool car. As you guys know, well, you probably don't know, but the 993 is my favorite generation of the Porsche 911. I love the 993. I think it's such a cool car. It's a perfect mixture of like classic raw driving experience, but with the nice, more creature comforts of the more modern Porsche 911s. It's such a perfect combo of those two, and I love it a lot. I would love to own a 993 Porsche 911 one day. But of course, if you know cars in the slightest bit and you know anything about 90s cars, then you know that means that the best 90s rear-wheel drive car of all time is, of course, the McLaren F1. The McLaren F1 isn't just one of the best 90s rear-wheel drive cars of all time, it's probably the best 90s car of all time. It's not just the best 90s car of all time, it's arguably the best car of all time. The McLaren F1 is everything that car guys love about cars. It is just awesome. Everything about the McLaren F1 is awesome. And guess what? They did it with a BMW motor. See, everybody that always hates on people because we're BMW, all us BMW fans that get hate because we like BMWs, lick it, bud. The McLaren F1 has a BMW motor. Now, obviously, because of that, they're obviously not that reliable, but they were another one of those CLK GTR, Porsche 911 GT1 Strassen version, Lotus Elise GT1 spec, you know, GT1 race cars turned road car. And it's, in my opinion, the best of them all. In most people's opinion, the best of them all. The McLaren F1 is legendary. It will go down in history as one of the most legendary cars of all time. And in my opinion, it's the best 90s rear-wheel drive car ever created. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the top 15 90s rear-wheel drive cars of all time. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what videos you'd like to see in the comment section down below. Check the links in the description for any of my other social medias or any of my other YouTube channels or any of that great mumbo jumbo. And that is the end of today's video, guys. Tomorrow's video is going to be on I think it's going to be the 5 reasons you should and 5 reasons you should not buy a Mitsubishi 3000 GT. I saw the guy with the Honda Fit, by the way, so if you're like thinking like, oh, I gotta keep commenting Honda Fit, you don't have to do that anymore. We're gonna do a Honda Fit video pretty soon. We will absolutely do that pretty soon. But nonetheless, that is gonna be tomorrow's video, is the 3000 GT, and then after that, we're gonna do a top 25 cheap cars video. I think we're gonna do it on the cheap 2-door coupes. And then after that, I don't know yet. So I have no idea what we're doing after that. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm trying to keep the videos a little bit shorter recently, obviously, because I feel like most of my videos are way longer than they need to be. So I'm going to keep this outro a little bit short today. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.